Hello, my name is William Bunbury, and I come from Lisnavagh in County Carlow, and I'm here principally to talk to you about Bunbury boards. These are bread boards, cheese boards, chopping boards, charcuterie, and so on. A little bit of background. That yellow star shows where we are. It's the north end of County Carlow, quite close to Wicklow. And the estate, as it was, really, it's now, I suppose, more of a large farm with a large house, but it comprises Lisnavagh House and Gardens, which we've set up mainly now as a wedding venue, small events. There are a number of cottages and houses on the estate, a large Victorian farmyard, 500 acres of tillage and grassland, and 200 acres of mixed woodland, which is really what we're looking at. Just to give you some pictures, there's Lisnavagh House, one of the cottages, a bad picture of the farmyard, sorry, some of the grazing land, a bit of tillage, and the woodlands, of course. So the woodlands are mainly hardwood woodlands. We'd have oak, beech, birch, ash, sycamore, not much elm anymore, unfortunately. And there are a few softwood woods as well, small commercial woodlands. So about 11 years ago, I was trying to figure out how we could do better with our woods. We had a lot of fallen timber there, and I wanted to try and avoid just putting it on somebody else's lorry and getting a few quid for it. Could we do better? So we started to plank the timber and dry it and sell it mainly to furniture makers. And that was adding value, the whole principle being to add value to this resource. The sources of timber are mainly our own woods, but we later source timber from other people. They could be my wife's aunt or somebody who gives us a call or whatever, but small-scale purchases from around Ireland. The timber is coming from windblown trees, or in this case, it's a woodland improvement program. So we're taking out some trees to let other trees grow on. Most of it is firewood, but there's some commercial timber there. Here are a couple of examples of trees. The left-hand one actually just came down a few months ago. We brought it down to the sawmilling yard yesterday. The other one came down last year. These are beech trees. They only last a couple of 100 years. So that's quite a long time, but they do come down. They die or they fall. Other trees would tend to last a bit longer. The felling work is carried out mainly by professional tree surgeons. We have a particular crew who come in on a regular basis. Our own staff are trained and can do a certain amount of stuff by themselves. But it's dangerous work, and it has to be done properly. That's a very bad picture of me measuring up a log. We take the measurement very seriously. We have a database that is, I'll get to the Bunbury boards in a minute, but this is all key to the traceability of our timber. The trees and logs are recorded on the database. Every plank of timber, all our customers, the people who we get other products from, other trees from, every invoice is on the system. We have a Timberpedia that will describe every species of tree that we know of, and all our products within the Bunbury board product range are on that database. It's an in-house design. There, for example, is a record of one particular tree. In fact, it was the one with the big branch down across the road. It's the right-hand picture of the beech trees there. So we have a lot of detail there on each tree. And I can also look up all the planks of wood that came from that particular log if I want to. There are pictures of all the, well, not all of the trees. There's, I think, 1,268 pictures of logs there. The collection of logs, I'll skip through this fairly briefly, it's fairly obvious. The left-hand machine is called a forder. That can drive around a wood, stack it in a cradle and bring it to the sawmilling yard. If we're bringing it in from elsewhere, from any distance, we'd use a lorry, such as on the right. The timber is brought into our sawmilling yard. You can see there are numbers on there. It's a very simple numbering system. I can't point to anything here, but if you say there's 0936.3, if you can see that. 2009, that was the 36th tree to go on our system. 0.3 means it's the third log from that tree. Very simple system. Before sawmilling, there's a certain amount of work to do. I'm going to keep going because I know we're under pressure of time here. There's logs that need to be split because they may be too large for the sawmill, or we may wish to quarter saw them in the case of oak. It gets a finer, better grain. Different types of sawmills we use. This is, in fact, the very first log. This is log 1, back in 2001, a piece of walnut that came down in 1975, and it was sitting in a grain pit for 25 years. It was a wonderful piece of wood. We tend to use mobile sawmills now, such as these. They come to us set up within 15 minutes for sawmilling. We'll go through about 50 tons of logs in a week, something like that. It's fairly slow and very careful. The planks, when they come off the sawmill, are given a reference number. We measure them, we grade them, and we describe how they've been sawn, any other notes that might be of interest. You can see the numbers there on the end of the plank. They all go onto our database before they're stacked. There's the details being recorded, and there they go onto the database. Each plank of timber is on the database. How long do we air dry a plank of wood for? It's a very simple rule of thumb. 1 inch thick, 1 year. 2 inches, 2 years. 3 inches, 3 years. And it'll then be dry to about 18 or 20% in the center. It's not good enough. We have to kiln dry it. This is air drying timber here. But we then need to bring it down to about 10% before you can do anything in terms of maybe furniture or our chopping boards. So there's some details there which I won't bore you too much with, but you probably get the gist of it. It takes 2 to 5 weeks in a very simple kiln, which is just basically a dehumidifier. This is the kiln being loaded. That's another kiln, and that's a shot inside. You can see there's a line of 5 fans. The central fan is in a box which has a heater and a dehumidifier in it. It's a bit like a fridge. It only costs about €3 a day to run, but it takes about 2 weeks to bring the moisture content down. We built a workshop in 2004 to start. This is going back a bit, I know, but we were making kitchen worktops and bookshelves instead of just selling timber to furniture makers, adding value again to our own timber. And that went quite well, but the business needed a product. We needed to have not just commissions coming in occasionally, but a product that we could go to a shop and sell. So we developed in the spring of 2008 a range of chopping boards. And these are the first ones that we produced. And we launched at the Autumn Fair and the RDS in 2008. And we got a few orders, and we started work. We started branding ourselves a bit better as well. Our branding changed a little bit over the first 6 months. We developed a website which was designed to impress retailers, not the average person browsing the internet. We weren't selling direct, we were selling to the shops. But the customer could go onto our website and download their tree report. They could find out from their chopping board, the number on the back of it, they could find out exactly where the tree came from and why it came down. So this is a very flashy website that cost us a fortune. It's been redesigned about 3 times as well, but it does work. There's a sort of butterfly and a beetle that move around and things. It's all very fancy. There's the number on the back of a chopping board, 070050. So 2007, the 50th tree to go on the system. Stick that in our website and you get a tree report. This is actually for a different tree, but you get the principle of it. There are 2 here. Sorry, one is off our database, one is off the online website. Say the same thing. We moved into a bigger premises in 2010. That was my first drawing. We did slightly better, and eventually, it took us about 2 years, but we got it up. There were a couple of delays, including running out of money. But that has given us great space in which to work and to store our timber. This is all the kiln-dried timber in storage. And that's our big workshop. It's a photograph from quite early on, so it is a little busier in there now. And we can get up to 6 or 8 people working in there safely and comfortably. Photography, I'll just whiz through that. It is important to have good photographs in terms of marketing and branding. Meetings, meetings, meetings. Yeah, I was trained as a farmer, and I've had to learn how to be a businessman, and that's been quite interesting, a very interesting journey. A lot of meetings, a lot of having to accept that other people might be right, which can always be difficult. So meeting with members of staff as well, whether they're management or on the workshop floor. Meetings with family is very important in our case because it's very much a family business. It's a family home. We're trying to save it. We've been there for 350 years. There's one of our meetings. It's not always in such luxurious surroundings. That's the library up at the house. Marketing, very key to getting the sales. We've been started a lot in Showcase or the Autumn Fair and the RDS in Dublin. We've been to Top Drawer in London a couple of weeks ago. We were over in Atlanta in January. They all get the word out. Oh, there's the Christmas fair. If you're around on the 23rd, 24th of November, do come. We meet some interesting people at our stands. We get a lot of publicity. We don't advertise. We get lots of free publicity because it's the story behind the whole business is quite interesting. We're selling mainly to retailers, but we're getting a lot of interest from restaurants particularly. There's a stand in Arnott's, I think, that's House of Fraser. We're in all the Kilkenny shops. MasterChef took all our boards. There's an online shop that we have now as well. We can engrave boards. That's an online order going out. Some photos we just got done. It's important to keep the whole thing fresh, get new products out all the time, keep the retailers interested in the product. So there's some new ideas we have. Finally, the next generation will demand sustainable products using sustainable resources from sustainable businesses. And that's the next generation, in our case. Thank you very much indeed. I've enjoyed talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me.